Welcome back. Let's see what the simulation's been up to.
A new way of consuming, reporting, and thinking about the news, powered by artificial intelligence. Today, you'll witness AI-generated stories and headlines, captivating visuals, and data-driven insights. From global news to finance to entertainment.
California announced that they're going to use AI to make their news. Their Operation Mockingbird broadcasters and replace them with AI to make the news. So think about YouTube. If you replace them with AI, well, a lot of people get replaced real quick. A lot of reporters and Operation Mockingbird reporters, they all get replaced real quick. California announced it just launched, I think, a $275 million program. They don't got money to take care of anybody, but they can have programs for AI broadcasters, which is interesting, but they can't help the people who live in California. But they are going to be replacing the broadcasters with AI. And here's another thing. Think of 2020. 2020, they had the broadcasters, saying, you shouldn't do this and false and misleading information, and that's not correct. Now they're going to fire them.
What could possibly go wrong? AI-generated news with AI news reporters. It just doesn't bode well, does it? That is a slippery slope, especially when you think of things like Sora by OpenAI, which can generate imagery and footage which looks nearly 100% real. Think about the potential for some kind of false flag event. Project Bluebeam comes to mind. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
This woman's been paralysed for 30 years and has just spoken after having a brain transplant. Ann Johnson was left paralysed back in 2005 after suffering from a severe stroke. Only 30 years old at the time of suffering the stroke, she's had to go the last, nearly 20 years without saying a word. But recently she's gone in for this new experimental technology and, well, it's done some pretty crazy things. It kind of works very similar to Elon Musk's Neuralink, which obviously you've seen is going around crazy at the moment. Like basically unlocking mind control. Like you can just look at something, think it, and it will happen. Like, what? Basically what they do is hook her up to this machine essentially. Like literally, you get plugged in. Somehow this technology translates brain waves and activity into audible signals, i.e. actual words, and then plays it through a digital avatar as well. When she thinks something or wants to say something, her brain waves will communicate with the technology which will put it into words, put it through an avatar and actually speak for her. Imagine going the last nearly 20 years of your life without saying a word to being able to communicate with her family again. Like, it is mad. This is just the development in AI at its finest and how crazy it really is. There's so much stuff going on in this space. Hit that follow button. I'll keep you updated.
I'm thinking about the broader implications of being able to pick up brainwaves and convert it into audio. We've seen already that the World Economic Forum hosted some kind of presentation called the Battle for Your Mind, where they were monitoring brain activity and using that data for performance reviews. We've also seen before that Wi-Fi may now be able to read people's minds. So if you think about how this technology can now convert brain waves into audio, they can get real-time audio expressions of what people are thinking. There's a huge risk there as far as privacy is concerned, and I am not sure whether I like it. I'm very pleased for that woman and her family, but you gotta wonder whether this technology was being developed for its altruistic purposes as depicted in this article, or whether there's something quite dark which brought about the conception of this new technology.
Fourth dimensional beings cast a three-dimensional shadow on Earth, and I can prove it scientifically, big.
Okay, you have to watch this video. This is a perfect explanation of how we see shadow people in our three-dimensional space. These beings are fourth-dimensional beings that are casting three-dimensional shadows. Just like us being three-dimensional beings, we cast a two-dimensional shadow. Einstein says you need to describe where you are not only in the three-dimensional space, but also in time. What time you are in. And that's the fourth dimension. That's the dimension that three-dimensional beings like us, we can't touch. At least we can't see into yet. But she describes this perfectly. Go watch this video, but let's take it a step further. Let's take it one dimension down. A comic book page is a two-dimensional medium. Now let's say that we're able to stick an object into that comic book medium and interact with it. Now what's that two-dimensional being like Superman or Spider-Man going to see if we stick a pen into their reality? They're going to see that, but it's not the whole object. Maybe we'll stick it in this way. Maybe I should stop saying stick it in. But you get my point. They're not seeing the entire picture, just like we're not seeing the entire picture of the Hat Man or the Shadow People. So let's take it one step up. So us being in the third dimension, what do we see if a fourth dimensional being sticks an object into our dimension? I gotta quit saying this. We see something like this. Yeah. Go watch this video. She makes a perfect point. So all this talk of 4 dimensions, how many dimensions are there out there? Well, according to science, somewhere between 10 and 26. Damn it, man.
If there are other dimensions, then there's going to be potentially other entities which reside in them. Whether there's any overlap, who am I to say? However, I do wonder whether the historical documentation of angels and demons, especially in various religions all over the world, are directly attributed to these extra-dimensional entities. And as I've previously said in other videos, I believe that what people call aliens and extraterrestrials are in fact these extra-dimensional entities just passing through. I will have to have a look at the video which he has mentioned there, and maybe we can go over it and discuss it in a future video. Let me know your thoughts.
I only got a second, but let me get this straight. So we have astronauts telling us that they're hearing really weird sounds in space, and they even got them recorded. And at the same exact time, coincidentally, they're releasing very problematic articles. If you hadn't heard, I'm about to show you real quick, and then we'll go over the articles.
Got a question about Starliner.
Houston's with you, Butch. Go ahead.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker. Here we go.
In space. And this never happens. Now, both these articles came out in the last 2 days. Aliens are already here and a threat to us all. The Pentagon's covering it up, and I have proof, the chilling warning of a former U.S. intelligence officer. Already here and they're a threat to us. I hope y'all do understand what it means when things like this happen all at the same time and what they're leading to. And coordinated as always, a completely different site says UFO expert says aliens have invasion plans and are tinkering with our weapons. Both this and the other one are accredited sources. And then in Colorado at the same time, they're having awful cattle mutilations everywhere. I blanked out all the bad stuff, and they don't have blood, they have black bile. According to a 3-letter agency, there's been over 10,000 reported cattle mutilations in the USA. Things that we cannot do. Surgically removing all the blood from the animal? I mean, come on. So what do y'all think this means? Mars attack? Let me know down in the comments.
Huge red flags for me there. Whatever these entities are, they clearly only intend to engage with us in a peaceful manner. Otherwise, we'd have tremendous evidence showing a very destructive and aggressive nature from them. I believe that all the abductions which have taken place, where people have experienced something which has terrified them, is due to these supposed black budget projects which are government funded. Whether they know it or not, obviously that's up for debate in Congress at the moment. However, I think it's us causing the awful things. I think the cattle mutilations are us. Call it a hunch. I just don't think we're that interesting to life which would be that intelligent. We're like Lego to children.
The food we eat in America is banned in other countries.
The food you eat in America is so toxic it's actually illegal in other countries.
You're wrong, but I was under the impression that ice cream would melt after sitting out all night. Now it looks like somebody shit in my sink.
Tell me why my burrito is stamped with a used by date on it. It's still good.
So crazy.
What the fuck is this? Hey, ain't never seen no yolk the same color. Somebody look at this. What the fuck is chicken knees?
They're just selling us
Chicken ain't got
anything.
knees. It's cartilage, ain't it? What the hell you doing?
I just cut it up to have for lunch. I don't know what's going on, but since when is watermelon doing this?
What are they
That radish
feeding us?
was moving like that. Do you see that?
What are they feeding us?
Kidding. And tell me if I'm ridiculous. Does this or does this not look like styrofoam?
Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. As always, stay weird, y'all.
I'll for more.
Clearly something wrong with the food out there. I'm so sorry to any of my American viewers. From what we can see over here in the UK, what food you have access to is terrible. Even the organic stuff is at risk. At least here in the UK and Europe, we have incredibly strict regulations. Look after yourselves. Do your best to buy locally or grow your own.
The Cecil Hotel is one of the scariest places that I've ever stepped foot in. So to get into the hotel, we went earlier in August. We had to do some things to get in there. Stuff that I'm not going to mention or be too graphic with. But we made our way in, and I should mention here that the security guard at the front told us that he doesn't go upstairs in the hotel unless he's got a group of 2 other people with him. Yeah, the security guard says he only goes up in pairs or threes. And he also was asking us, like, you guys have a knife, right? And we're like, no. So hearing that from the security guard was a little freaky. But one of the residents who gave us an impromptu tour of some of the floors was telling us some really disturbing, shocking things. She said that since she moved in 2 years ago, there have been somewhere between 15 to 30 deaths inside of the Cecil Hotel. She mentioned that some of those deaths were overdoses. Some of those deaths were people ending their own lives. And I was just shocked by how many residents that we spoke with who lived in the hotel, who had paranormal experiences living there. Like this one woman who was speaking with us said that her and her boyfriend heard a little girl singing in the hallway. And when they opened the door, they saw this little girl, looked at her, they both saw her, and then she just vanished into thin air. And another woman told us that she sees this French man standing by the elevator all the time, gazing off. He's got a briefcase and glasses on. She thinks she gets the vibe that this was someone who took their own life. But I'm releasing that documentary on my YouTube channel tonight, The Paranormal File. It's the first time, to my knowledge, people have brought cameras into the Cecil in a while to show what it's like nowadays. And it's funny to me because you go and you look on YouTube and you can see this clip of the Los Angeles government or city council, whoever it is, when they reopened the Cecil as affordable housing. And the halls were pristine. They were talking about how they're going to really crack down on this place and they're going to do their best to provide so much. They're going to, put their best foot forward and help out those individuals that are being placed in the hotel. And when you're in there, it's not like that. There is a major lack of management there. I talked to a police officer for my video who told me about how many phone calls they get a day. 2, he said, a day from the Cecil. There is violence. There were women that were telling me about sexual assaults that happen in there. People telling us about gangs that control floors that will stab you if you hear the wrong thing. It's truly like a place I have never been in my life. And in my video, I compare the Cecil Hotel in my mind to a character in its own horror story, almost like the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Because seriously, if you examine all of these incidents, all the strings of people that took their own lives in the Cecil, the people who were murdered in the Cecil, the bizarre deaths, just all the crazy violent stuff that is not death related. I'm talking about attempts to end people's lives that are never, talked about. I'm talking about overdoses, of which there are probably thousands in the building. And yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable in there. It seems like the Cecil itself is this entity, and not a good one. It's really like a vortex of energy, and it was crazy. So if you want to see all that footage that we captured, it's going to be on my YouTube channel, The Paranormal Files, this evening. And yeah, just know that everything you've read about the Cecil, everything you've seen about the Cecil, the documentaries you've seen about the Cecil, it may seem negative to you and it may seem a little spooky, but I can confidently tell you, as somebody that travels to places like this all the time, I've just recently on this trip, I've been to 11 different haunted, abandoned conspiracy locations in England. That place is pure evil. And there is something in there that I cannot put my finger on, that I don't know if it's compelling people to do terrible things or it's influencing people's emotions or what it is, but it's really like the hotel is alive. And if you watch the footage, you will see proof of that. Anyways, just felt like I would share that because yeah, it was crazy.
Do you know what comes to mind? That forest in Japan where people are drawn to it to go and unalive themselves, right? I think that certain places build up a reputation for being some way associated with these things, and it's like the power of persuasion in a way. People are influenced by what they've heard and it makes them think that that is what that place is about, and they get it in their head, and sometimes it becomes like an obsessive thing. They become obsessed with this ideology, and then they will go and commit either horrible atrocities or decide that they no longer want to be here anymore. People will immediately blame paranormal activity, or in this case, the hotel is alive. I really don't believe that. I think that people are drawn to things out of curiosity, or it's just circumstantial. They hear stories and it's just a big mind game, really. It's just a downward spiral which ends in tragedy. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
Speaking of California,
yeah.
No! August 10th.
Yeah.
Something washed ashore.
Yeah.
The doomsday fish.
Or fish.
Deep sea ore.
Happen again. You called it.
I thought it was going to go to Japan, though.
Yeah, she did say Japan.
Japan's literally right next to California.
That's true.
There's nothing in between it. It's ocean, baby.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's right there.
Only 20 oarfish have washed up in California since 1901. The California oarfish was indeed found just 2 days before a 4.4 earthquake struck the region that rattled LA. That's interesting. Okay.
All right, we're figuring it out.
Isn't that so weird, though?
Yeah, it seems strange because just this week in Mexico, did you see that pyramid collapsed?
Yeah.
What?
Literally a 1,000-year-old pyramid crumbling.
Yeah, this one
and
side
they had some rain and stuff, but it's like 1,000 years. And so everyone in that area is taking it as a bad omen. They think it's a sign of something that's to come. So
yeah,
I'm going to go back and rebuild it.
Isn't nature wonderful? The way that certain things respond to an event that's about to take place. I know this is nothing like what they were saying about with this oarfish, but they say that cows lay down when it's about to rain. I know there's no comparison there, but I'm just saying. It's just interesting behavior that you see in animals. I don't think there's any association, though, between the oarfish in LA and the pyramid collapsing in Mexico. But such a shame, though, for such an ancient building to just fall apart like that. 1,000 years old. Such a shame.
Scientists have just unearthed 1,700 new viruses trapped in the rapidly melting permafrost. But the real shocker is the reason they were even searching in the first place. You see, permafrost around the world, which has been frozen for thousands of years, is melting at an unprecedented rate. And with that comes two main concerns for scientists. The first being that the valuable knowledge stored within the ice is no longer permanent. Once melted, all of that historical information that's conveniently frozen in time for us to learn from will be lost forever. And secondly, ancient viruses, which we have no protection against, thawing out or now becoming a serious concern for the future. So as the ice melts, researchers are racing to collect samples that could help them learn about how viruses evolve over thousands of years, and also to identify and study new viruses in the chance that they pose a risk or reward for humans. I mean, one scientist literally injected himself with a 3.5 million-year-old Siberian bacteria that he revived from the permafrost because he said his data suggests that it extended life in animals, and claims that in the 14 years since injecting it himself, he hasn't been sick once. But rest assured though, in the most recent discovery, none of the almost 2,000 new viruses are dangerous or helpful to animals or humans.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be injecting any prehistoric bacteria into my bloodstream. Take a hard pass on that one. Let me know if you take that chance.
This is breaking news regarding the 2 astronauts that are stuck in space and not able to return home until 2025. Well, they called into NASA because they recorded something terrifying on their space station, what sounds like a pulsing sound, a heartbeat, over and over, and they have no idea what it's from. It's almost like a scene out of a space horror flick. Take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Houston's with you, Butch. Go ahead.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker, and I didn't know if you could connect into the Starliner and let me keep mic and let you hear it. I don't know what's making it.
We can configure that, Butch. Give us a minute, and I'll call you back when it's ready.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm gonna keep the mic up next to the speaker.
Copy. Yep, good recording. Thanks, Butch. We will pass it on to the team and let you know what we find.
Now, we saw that in an earlier clip, but we didn't actually make any point about it. So, what could that noise be? Well, speakers usually pick up interference, so it could be something that's being transmitted from a satellite that might be near. Perhaps VR technology, could be something on Earth. I just can't see that if any intelligent life is trying to make contact, that it would do it in such a subtle way. I feel that they'd be more obvious about it. It just doesn't make sense for them to play little games like this, you know? We wouldn't do that. In fact, we have a recorded history of never doing anything like that. We are very much just, we go in, we make our presence known. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Easily influenced on this app. Like every other video I would see was just this. And so of course I have to buy it. Let's talk about why it's blowing up, and then I'll give you my honest opinion on whether it's actually legit or just more of this TikTok shop BS. So there's been a massive trend lately. Honestly, calling it a trend is stupid. I just think consumers are becoming more educated. People are sick of the gimmicky products. I literally just watched a TikTok of a dentist talking about these whitening toothpastes. He essentially said the product doesn't work, it has toxic ingredients, and maybe if you took this toothpaste, caked it on your teeth, left it on for a month, maybe you'll see a slight difference. But the goal for most of these companies is how can we create the crappiest product possible and sell it for the most amount of money. But obviously when you're putting something in your mouth, you should care.
Have
having this discussion. Look, we've got fluoride in our water, right? But the evidence against fluoride just keeps piling on. And remember, whatever you put in your mouth gets into your bloodstream. And not just by ingestion, by absorption, the oral mucosa. So yes, we should be worried about what's in our toothpaste. In the meantime, I'm using my nano-based hydroxyapatite.
So this is Dr. Mark Burhany. He's a dentist, he's an author, he has an awesome YouTube channel where he goes through all of the science, all of the most recent finding, anything that has to do with your oral health care. And as he mentioned, there is a growing base of evidence against fluoride. Yes, it has some positives where it protects your enamel and your teeth, but the history is insane. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but it truly is bad science, powerful politics, like it's wild. The cool thing is we're also finding that there are replacements for fluoride that have all of the benefits with none of the negative side effects. One of those is hydroxyapatite. The study found that fluoride and hydroxyapatite have very comparable positive effects. So what is hydroxyapatite?
Hydroxyapatite is what's in our teeth. It is calcium, and it's safer and as good as fluoride. Nano is the same material, but it's been processed. It's made into a smaller piece. It's smaller than the size of the dentinal tubules, which is where we get sensitive.
As he said, hydroxyapatite is essentially calcium. This is one reason why it remineralizes your teeth. Now, there is a lot of controversy about hydroxyapatite versus nanohydroxyapatite. Knobs uses nano. It is 1,000 times smaller. The reason why everybody's talking about it is because a lot of science and a lot of studies are showing that nanoparticles, especially nanometals, can be detrimental to your health. They get absorbed into the body, nothing happens to them. Essentially, they just get cut off. But Dr. Burhany explains, once again, hydroxyapatite is calcium. It's not the same as like nano gold or nano silver, nano titanium. It breaks down, it dissolves. He uses nanohydroxyapatite. This video is going way too freaking long, so what is my opinion on it? About 4 months ago, I bought the 3 month supply, and I've been using it twice a day. This is my second bottle, and I actually bought a third and fourth because it was on sale. When I tell you it has changed the game for me, I am not lying. I used to have chronic sensitive teeth. Anything that was cold, couldn't use these water pick flossers, the teeth would just be too sensitive. Remineralization is a real thing. I have no tooth sensitivity anymore. Not to mention, it polishes and whitens your teeth. I have never done any teeth whitening, ever. This is the most comments I've ever gotten on my teeth. I unfortunately had to go visit some family for a funeral, and everyone was like, wow, your teeth look really good. Where did you get them whitened? I didn't. I've just been using knobs for 4 months now. Listen, there's a reason why they've sold 200,000. There's a reason why they have over 12,000 reviews, 4.7 stars. And honestly, who cares about the teeth whitening? This is the best my mouth has ever felt. So should you go buy knobs? Who cares? You do not need to buy from this link. The only reason why I included the link is because there's a lot of copycats that sell with different ingredients. So if you're going to get it, you want to get it from the official seller. But they're not the only ones that are using hydroxyapatite or nanohydroxyapatite. Find an option that works for you, that's within your budget, but get away from this BS. Remember, what you put into your mouth goes into your bloodstream. It impacts your health. This seriously is the best my teeth have ever felt. I will be a lifelong customer. Love you, bye.
Such a shame. Why is it called that when it has to go in your mouth? As a British man, two things which don't go together. That name and mouths. Anyway, the one thing which really bothers me about all this tooth whitening and dental care is that when they dig up these skulls with full sets of teeth, they're pristine, they're so white. There's no evidence of any decay, and they definitely weren't using any kind of toothpaste or any chemical agents to try and whiten their teeth or prevent decay. So what were they doing? Maybe we need to be a bit more fundamental about these things rather than overcomplicating them. I'm sure there's some kind of hidden ancient knowledge on how to look after your teeth that we've just put by the wayside in favor of some kind of capitalist over-manufactured product designed just to keep people dependent on dentists and convoluted toothpastes. Let me know your thoughts below.
When you're fully awake, you will find yourself never again mourning the death of another, not even for a moment. You might mourn your loss, but not their death. In fact, you'll actually celebrate their death by celebrating both the moments of love and joy that they shared with you and the fact that they're now continuing to live in the free and wondrous expression of their evolutionary process. You would likewise neither fear nor mourn your own death, and for precisely the same reason. How's that possible? How can we not mourn the death of another? Because you wouldn't be sad for something that's not true, that's not even happening. When was the last time you were really sad for a long period of time about something that didn't happen? I'm really sad that I fell down the stairs. But you never fell down the stairs. I know, but I'm sad anyway. You wouldn't do that. So why would you be sad because somebody has celebrated their continuation day? You see, the whole point of this particular lesson is to embrace the notion that death does not exist. Now, this is not a new age philosophy. This is not some kind of a new thought principle. Do you realize that every major religion on the face of the earth teaches us that death does not exist?
I think that was a nice positive clip to end on there. I like to think that this is all just one journey leading into another, and there's just a transition between those moments, and that the individuals to which we connect with in this life, if our energy is entwined, those connections will continue on even after the journey ends here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We've reached the end of the video now, and I hope that you enjoyed those clips. If you did, please drop a like on the video, and please be sure to subscribe. I do release a video every single day at 8 PM UK time. And if you wish to continue the discussion after the video ends, we do have a Discord community where you can share your thoughts and even submit your own clips for me to react to in future videos. I'm really hoping to bring you all together so we can have an intellectual discussion and even debate some ideas in a respectful way, of course. But either way, stay safe, stay well, stay curious. Until next time.